JBNN keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones. Before we get into the news, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the news with someone today. Now onto the news. Police seized 2 guns in Kingston, woman arrested. The Kingston Central Police on Thursday seized 2 illegal guns and 10 rounds of ammunition at an establishment along Princess Street in downtown Kingston. A woman was taken into custody. According to reports, at around 5 p.m., the police conducted an operation at a wholesale during which a loaded Taurus pistol and a loaded JC Taurus pistol were found. The Kingston Central Criminal Investigation Branch is probing the matter. A legal gun found inside refrigerator in Central Village. The St. Catherine South Police seized a handgun and several rounds of ammunition at Browns Lane, Central Village in St. Catherine on Wednesday. According to reports, at about 4:55 p.m., a police team was on foot patrol in the community when lawmen searched an abandoned building. The gun, a Browning 9mm pistol with a magazine containing 5 9mm cartridges, was reportedly found hidden inside the refrigerator. No arrest was made in relation to the find. However, investigators continued their probe. Man killed, another wounded in Manningsville Road gun attack. The St. Andrew North Police are investigating a gun attack that occurred this morning along Manningsville Road, leaving 1 man dead and another injured. The incident took place sometime after 10 o'clock in an area known as Hungry Town. The attackers, believed to have been traveling in a white Toyota Axle motor car, are being sought by the police. As of May 17, the St. Andrew North Police have recorded 14 murders. Homicides in the division have declined by 36% year on year. Decomposing body of man discovered at home on St. Paul's Lane, St. Andrew. The decomposing body of a man was discovered this morning inside his home on St. Paul's Lane in St. Andrew. He has been identified as 58-year-old laborer Leslie Mundell. According to police reports, at about 10 a.m., information was received about a body inside a house in the area. A team was dispatched, and upon entering the one-room dwelling, the body of a man was found. The scene was processed, and the body was removed. A post-mortem is to be conducted. The Hunts Bay Criminal Investigation Branch is probing the matter. 2 cops charged with alleged assault of man in Yallas, St. Thomas. 2 police officers have been charged for allegedly assaulting a man during an arrest in Artis District, Yallas, St. Thomas in December 2020. Corporal Marlon Shaw is charged with unlawful wounding, and Corporal Courtney Lewis is charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm. It has been alleged that the officers used excessive force during arresting procedures, which resulted in facial injuries against the complainant. Following an investigation by the Independent Commission of Investigations, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions ruled that the corporals should be charged. They were brought before the St. Thomas Parish Court on Wednesday, where they were bound over. The cops are to return to court on June 4. Mother relieved as cops found guilty of manslaughter misconduct a decade after son's death. More than a decade after Mario Dean succumbed to injuries sustained after being beaten while in police custody, his mother, Mercia Fraser, finally heard the word she had waited years to hear: guilty. On Thursday, after the verdict was read in the Westmoreland Circuit Court, Fraser stood just outside the courtroom, tears running down her face, her body trembling with emotion. The 3 police officers charged in connection with their son's death were all found guilty.
Sign of relief. Walk us through your feeling right now.
I can't even walk it through. It's just overwhelming. After 10 years and I've been there and I have to clench my fist not to really even cry. So it's a sigh of relief. I feel much lighter, but at the same time, after all this, all the pressure that you go through and everything, it's just overwhelming. It just definitely overwhelming. And you know what I do? I thank God most that He told me that I could keep it out until this time, and I don't know how I would feel if I didn't really stick to the race and do it. It wasn't easy, and I tell you, even since I come here, sometimes I feel like I want to leave because it's just like it going. But today, I feel relieved because, I used to say that I'm not even sure that I will get justice in Jamaica. But my God, it's not only Mario get justice today. I know many more people who has lost their son, right, in this kind of condition. Really feel a little bit of relief. And I really, truly thank God and all the support that I get. You guys, you're with me from the beginning, especially Glenn, and, with me from the beginning. And, yeah, it's really good for all the support. JFJ in the community, everybody show up, and there are times when I really feel weak. I really feel like I couldn't make it, but I promised my son on his deathbed that I would see to it that him get justice. And today I am grateful that I really stand up to see the end of it. You know, just give God thanks. I'm just too overwhelmed right now to even give you a purpose.
When you heard the verdict, in court just now, what went through your mind?
Oh God. It's just a sigh of relief. I was nervous. My belly was like, I was nervous totally. But when I heard the verdict, I just feel that sigh of relief on my body. Just, you know, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I really need to go.
Even though you have received a verdict today, how do you plan on moving on, especially without your son?
I cannot plan that. I can't plan that. I'll just try to get whenever I need help. I just get the help to move on. You know, I can't plan that, and I can't promise you that I'm going to get over him. But at least this aspect of it is out of the way, right? I can't tell that I would never get over that. But if I need help, I'll seek help.
Corporal Lynn Stewart and Constables Juliana Cleveland and Marlon Grant were found guilty by a jury of manslaughter and misconduct in public office, charges stemming from Dean's death on August 6, 2014, 3 days after he was beaten while detained at the Barney Street Police Station in St. James for possession of a ganja spliff. He was 31 years old. Stewart was also convicted of attempting to pervert the course of justice. The court heard that he ordered the jail cell where Dean was attacked to be cleaned before investigators from the Independent Commission of Investigations could arrive inside the courtroom as a 7-member jury delivered the 6-1 verdict before High Court Justice Courtney Day. Stewart and Grant sat in silence, their face marked by resignation. Cleveland, overwhelmed, lowered her head and cried quietly in the dark. Ebony Vale, Spanish Town residents upset over fatal police shooting of community member. Residents of Ebony Vale in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, are expressing outrage following the fatal police shooting of Damian Martin, otherwise known as Pinky, during an alleged confrontation at his home on Lignum Avenue on Thursday morning. According to police reports, a joint operation was conducted around 9 a.m. based on intelligence. Cops attempted to engage Martin, but were reportedly met with gunfire. In the ensuing firefight, Martin and the police corporal were shot. Martin later succumbed to his injuries at hospital, while the policeman is recovering from non-life-threatening wounds. The police say a gun was recovered at the scene, and a man said to be associated with Martin was taken into custody for questioning. However, several residents are disputing the police's version of events and are demanding answers. Well, I am a resident of Ebonyville, and one would be considered an outstanding figure, serving in community life over the years, so I know Pinky well, and I don't know him to be involved in any wrongdoing, a neighbor said. I was on the street making a delivery when we saw an entourage of police mobiles turn onto Lignum Avenue. Shortly after, maybe less than 10 minutes, we heard continuous gunshots, said another neighbor who claimed to witness the incident. He added that he had observed Martin speaking with a contractor shortly before the police arrived. The police were seen engaging Damon in a conversation outside the house before they marched him inside. It was at this point they say a shot was fired from inside. About 15 police went inside with him, he claimed. The same neighbor noted, at the time when the shot was fired from inside the house, the police were already inside. Another long-time resident expressed disbelief. No, it can't be him. He has been living in this community all his life. We don't know him as a wrongdoer. However, we can swear for everyone and what they could be guilty of in the cover of darkness. Martin's girlfriend, who was not home during the incident, denied that he kept any gun at the residence. The community, still reeling from the news, is calling for a thorough investigation into the incident. Superintendent Coolidge Minto, commanding officer for St. Elizabeth, provides update to PM Holness.
How are things in the area?
Things are pretty quiet, sir. We had a major operations last week. That operations, we seized 5 motorbikes, bikes that had 1,000 cc. We arrested one person a few weeks ago for another motorbike that was stolen in the US. That person is charged and is before the courts. And that operation and investigation expanded to the one we did last week, which led to the recovery and seizure of these motorbikes. We continue, sir, to push our operational strategies in St. Elizabeth. We intend to make St. Elizabeth one of the safest, if not the safest parish in the country. Currently, sir, we have 6 murder when compared to 16 for the corresponding period last year, a reduction of over 62%. And 6 is even too many, Prime Minister. We are continuing to ensure that our assets are deployed across various spaces to ensure that we limit the opportunity for those who want to commit criminal activities in this branch.
Are you seeing any increases in interpersonal violence, in domestic violence, intimate partner violence? We've gone through a week of the gruesome murder of a 9-year-old, rape and murder, then the abduction and murder of a young lady from UTEC, terrible situation. And then we have seen the despicable situation of a nurse being trampled on in a road rage incident. All of these incidents have drawn attention to the issue of violence against women and children, but the larger problem of social violence, interpersonal relationships, brother and brother, sister and brother, husband and wife, man and woman business, what we generally term as domestic violence, domestic abuse, intimate partner violence. Are you seeing any increase of this in your division?
Well, not an increase in terms of domestic violence. We do have some cases, Mr. Prime Minister, in St. Elizabeth. As a matter of fact, the very day that the news broke of the 9-year-old that was brutally murdered, we had in this parish a 6-year-old that was sexually molested. And thankfully, the detective did a very good job, and one person was arrested and charged and is before the court for that matter. We have seen a number of interpersonal issues, conflicts that resulted in fights, which ultimately resulted in assaults and charges being laid for persons. And so we appeal to persons to utilize the Domestic Violence Center in Santa Cruz. And we also have, through the Ministry of Justice, the Restorative Justice Center also in Santa Cruz. We have been going across the parish with a number of our interventions. 2 days ago, we were walking in Black River Town Center with the child diversion persons, the CPFSA representative, the police, and other stakeholders speaking about these kind of issues. But we do have them in the parish, sir, not on an alarming rate, but they are certainly noteworthy to mention that we.
So, keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
And I am expecting that St. Elizabeth will end the year with phenomenally low numbers, as you have already
We intend to make it a record year, sir. We're already seeing a 10-year low in terms of murders. The lowest it has been in 10 years, and we intend to have that record being smashed even further, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Opposition leader Mark Golding Labour Day message.
Good day, my fellow Jamaicans. Today we come together in observance of Labor Day 2025 under the theme, Protect the Environment, Our Land, Our Duty, Our Future. We must do so as one people, with one purpose, as this is a theme that should resonate deeply with us all. We know that this island on which we live, the rivers that flow through our valleys, the mountains that rise above our cities and towns, and the seas that surround us are not just beautiful scenery. They are our birthright, the foundation of our future, and our responsibility to protect and preserve for generations to come. This year's slogan, Jamaica Nice, Protect with Paradise, is a rallying cry that reminds us that our beautiful country is a gift from God that we cannot take for granted. Labor Day is a time when we roll up our sleeves and come together as one nation in the spirit of service. This year, that spirit requires us to dedicate our efforts to protecting our natural environment, the very air we breathe, the forests, rivers, beaches, coral reefs, and other marine ecosystems, the aquifers underground that collect and store our water resources, and the unique, precious biodiversity that is truly irreplaceable. Jamaica Nice, Protect with Paradise reminds us that our island is a national treasure and a global gem, but it is also vulnerable. It demands our diligent and watchful care. We each have a responsibility to preserve it so that it's not irretrievably lost, so that generations to come don't look back and say, we let them down. Labor Day has been a time of national unity where we work together for the betterment of our communities. Today, That call to action demands that we face the daunting realities of environmental degradation amidst an unfolding climate crisis. The climate crisis is not distant. It's not a speculative threat. It's becoming our lived reality. Changing weather patterns that produce more extreme rainfall, droughts, warming temperatures, flooding, and rising sea levels. They're already affecting our way of life, our economy, our health, and our food security. And while Jamaica's greenhouse gas emissions are relatively insignificant in global terms, we are among the most vulnerable to the effects of climate change that are being generated in this interconnected world. That is why we must demand that the world takes bold action for climate justice and for the survival and sustainability of particularly vulnerable islands like ours. We must recognize that climate justice has become a fundamental element of social justice. The poorest and most vulnerable in our society are often the hardest hit by the effects of environmental degradation. When communities lack proper drainage, when deforestation leads to landslides, when pollution fouls our water, it is those among us who are on the margins of survival who suffer first and suffer most. Let us demonstrate to our children the value of environmental stewardship. Our children must be taught in schools not just to love this land, but to understand how to nurture and care for it. These practices must become part of our culture if we are to successfully combat the threats that we are currently facing. Let us lead by example, reducing waste, conserving water, recycling where we can, and treating our surroundings with respect. This is how we will build a culture of sustainability that is rooted in our love for our country. As leader of the opposition, I have consistently called for Jamaica's Environmental Protection Agency, NEPA, to be autonomous, robust, and independent, for stronger environmental policies and penalties for environmental offenses, for greater investment in renewable energy, including policies that use renewable energy in the strategy for regularizing those of us who are not lawful customers of the electricity provider, and for climate resilient infrastructure. But policy alone is not sufficient. We must act, not only in the interests of the environment, but to meet the demands of equity and fairness in our society. So today, as thousands of Jamaicans paint our schools, clean gullies, plant trees, restore playgrounds, and beautify public spaces across our country, I salute you. You are doing the work of nation building, work that improves the physical environment and uplifts the spirit of unity and purpose that is the foundation of Jamaica's greatness. Each such act of service is a step towards a cleaner, safer, and more beautiful Jamaica. And in the end, we must remember, this land is our home and our heritage. Only we can preserve its beauty, its bounty, and its balance. This is why, on Labor Day 2025, we recommit ourselves to the mission of environmental protection, not just as a project for today, but as a lifelong responsibility. Jamaica nice, yes? Let us keep it that way. Protect our paradise, protect our land, secure our future. Walk good.
JBNN will keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.